Remember all the fun and joy of your favorite game or childhood toy. If only you could feel that way again, again, again. Well, you don't have to go back in time, 'cause Nick and friends can help you find long lost treasures you once loved. Let's go hunting nostalgia.
This is Hunting Nostalgia, and I'm Nick Bartley, and today we have a very special but very different episode of Hunting Nostalgia for you. I'm outside of PPG Paints Arena, the home of the Pittsburgh Penguins, standing here next to the greatest hockey player who has ever played the game. Numero 66, the big guy, Le Magnifique, Mario Lemieux. 1,723 points. What? 690 goals in his short span of time that he was in the NHL? No one compares. Sorry, no one compares. But you might wonder, why am I here today? What am I doing at PPG Paints Arena? Well, I have a very special guest for you today. Pittsburgh Penguins radio host Brian Metzer is meeting me down the road at Time Bomb Toys. It's his buddy Bob's toy store, and it is horror themed. It's super spooky. It's way out of my comfort zone, you know? This is more my idea of a horror movie. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello and Hold That Ghost, like that's my style, okay? But what you're gonna see here, there's amazing toys, amazing movie memorabilia. They also have a massive wall of custom-made horror masks. Unreal. Stuff that nobody else at that Halloween party is gonna have on. Now, this weekend, the actual camaraderie between the collectors like Brian and I mean, you might ask yourself, now what in the world would a Pittsburgh Penguins radio host be doing hanging out with this toy-sniffing weirdo? I don't know. No, but it's the world of collecting. It's that sharing of a common bond. And just this past weekend, my Uncle John was in Erie at Action Toy Man, and he found these 1950s Laurel and Hardy masks. Now this is more my style, but I want you to check out Brian's style and see what gives him that feeling of nostalgia. Oh, what a fine mess we've gotten ourselves into this time, Stan. But first, I want you to take a moment of nostalgia with Elvira Taylor.
Hey, thanks Nick, and I'm Elvira from the Doll Circle, and this is my moment of nostalgia. And today I wanted to pick a particular toy line that mixes playline, dolls, and horror. And if you're a big fan of my channel, you know, and you can tell by my shirt, I'm a huge fan of Monster High. Monster High started in 2010, and right now they just said that they're coming back in 2022. Now, obviously over the years, we've had many different horror characters and renditions of different monster characters, from Universal monsters in the traditional sense to modernizing a lot of horror movies for today's world. Now, one thing about Monster High that I really like and that really touched me as not only a horror fan and as a doll and toy collector was that it was able to mesh worlds that normally don't go together. When you think of like play lines and when you think of like fashion dolls, you think of like Barbie, or you think of dolls that are similar to that in that world, where it's a lot of cute and safe, but they mixed something which is monsters, which normally is a scary thing or a spooky thing, into something very fashionable and fun. So I have to really give it to Mattel for doing that, because I remember walking down the aisle in 2010 when I was still collecting like Barbies, and I still collect Barbies now, but with so many other doll options out there, I remember walking down and looking for Barbies, and I was like, huh, what is this? And I have her here. What is this Monster High doll? It's made by Mattel. It looks like a fashion doll, but it's a vampire? What? And it had a coffin shape on it? Wait, what? The inner goth child in me was literally screaming in the store, and I had to buy her. So here she is. And I was just like freaking out. So thinking back, I can't believe it's 11 years ago already. I was like, wow, Mattel was able to take something that me growing up, if I was a 6, 7, 8-year-old looking at this, would have freaked out. My parents didn't really censor me growing up, and I was obsessed with horror movies and anything vampires. I really love vampires. And I was just like, to me it was never really scary. To me it was more of like an artistry. I was like, wow, look at these movies, especially from the 80s, where they have like, you know, animatronics and special effects and graphics, and it's like, wow, that's ketchup and corn syrup, and they made it look like blood. You know, like, it's so interesting how they would make all these films. And seeing this in the mid 2000s, well, I would say 2010s era, I really was so shocked that a company was willing to take that risk of bringing horror into a whole new light for a whole new type of audience. Because before that, yes, we've had figures from different companies. Even today, we still have traditional horror movie characters like Jason and Freddy and, you know, Michael from Halloween. And we have them by companies like NECA and Sideshow Toys and Mezco. But they're more for collectors. They're not really geared towards a younger demographic. So one thing that really, really stuck out to me, especially as a horror movie fan, was like, wow, they're taking Dracula. He has a daughter. Her name is Draculora, and she goes to school named Monster High and is with all these other monster kids. And one of my favorite things too, here I'll show you in the back of this box, has the slogan. It says, be yourself, be unique, be a monster. And I love that they were sending a positive message of acceptance through horror and through a play line. Now, as a collector, I do have a lot of these on my shelf, and obviously I take pictures of them, and kids, you know, it's so funny to see now the evolution of where dolls started with Monster High, and now coming back in 2022, they're partnering with Nickelodeon to have this whole new live action movie and reboot the line and bring horror again in a fun way to a whole new younger generation. I am so excited about it. And Disney has tried. They've, you know, done little things here or there with like the Zombies movie that came out a few years ago, but it's not the same as bringing traditional monster movie characters that we've seen with like werewolves and with vampires and with zombies. Like a character named Ghoulia in the show has 0 speaking words, but is the smartest one on the show and is such a positive influence where she makes being smart and nerdy cool. I love that. Like, it's so great. Like, I love what Monster High has done for not only toys and dolls, but like in the horror community, normalizing liking monsters and liking spooky stuff. Especially me, like I said, growing up, I totally loved Barbie, but I loved all of my goth stuff. So seeing this come together was like, wow, it's everything I've always wanted. Too bad it didn't come out when I was like 7 or 8, because I would have been living for it. But it's just so cool that they have, like, instead of a dream-like castle or what we traditionally see in like dolls, they had a catacombs playset and they lived in the catacombs. And Operetta was the daughter of the Phantom of the Opera, and she lives in the darkened catacombs. But fabulous. And I'm just like, that is so cool. That is so cool that they were able to do that. Let me know. If you follow me on social media at the Doll Circle on anywhere like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, let me know if there's like a horror playline that I'm totally missing. But to me, Mattel did it just right because it was able to do being cute, but also making it just spooky enough. Because with some of these dolls, you can definitely see they have like Tim Burton inspired spookiness, but still whimsical and fashionable and a little bit of everything in these dolls. I'm just living. And one of my favorite things is like with this doll, she's a vampire, but obviously they're like, okay, we can't have a kid's play doll where she drinks blood to live. So instead, she's a vegan vegetarian monster and she drinks tomato juice. And I'm like, you know, that's ridiculous and silly, but I see it working so well. And it did, and it has, and it's so iconic because every time that people think of Dracula, they're like, tomato juice, you know, it's just so funny. Again, let me know if there's any playlines I'm missing. And I know this is a little different than a traditional like horror spook, but as a horror fan, you have to bring up all different kinds of horror and all different kinds of spookiness. And I feel like bringing in playlines and teaching kids that, hey, being a monster and being different is cool. So still having fun with monsters, but also giving a positive message. Thumbs up for that. I'm totally about that. So make sure to check out me, Elvira, at the Doll Circle, anywhere on social media. And I'm excited to see what comments you guys have to give to me. Like, let me know. Is there a horror playline that I'm totally missing out on? I just love this as a doll fan. Oh, I'm so excited that Monster High is coming back next year. Yay! All right, thanks for watching my moment of nostalgia. I'm Elvira. Back to you, Nick.
Thank you, Elvira, our resident scream queen. Oh my gosh. I mean, horror isn't my thing, but I'll bet you could do an entire 30-minute episode on it. It's just a little too spooky for me. But hey, here I am with my friend Brian.
How you doing?
I'm great. At one of your favorite places, 300 Camp Horn Road in Pittsburgh, Time Bomb Toys. And this place, it is a horror-themed toy store, and that is right up your alley. What is it about that horror that gives you that feeling of nostalgia, that brings you back?
It's amazing to have this right down the road for me, essentially. I live not too far from here, and having this shop available for masks, figures, other nostalgic items of horror. I love it. I just can come down here. I've been here quite a bit this last year, and I come out with a bag of stuff every time I am. But it just makes me remember my childhood.
Yeah.
I used to watch horror films all the time with my dad growing up. He lived separate from us. My parents split up when I was young, so I'd go to his house on the weekends, and we'd hit Viewer's Choice Video over in Shaler, which is long gone, at the Shaler Plaza. And we'd rent 3 or 4 horror films on a Friday night, probably blow through all of them, go back Saturday, rent some more. And then when I was leaving, I'd be lucky enough to get a couple bucks here or there from my grandmother that lived with my dad.
If you behave yourself.
Yeah, well, sometimes even if you did it.
Okay.
You know, he was hard to deal with, so she had to pay us all for putting up with it. They'd give me a couple bucks. I lived in Bloomfield. I would walk down the street and there was a costume shop, and this lady had a Dawn Post Micheal Meyers mask, which, as you may know, I mean, Dawn Post masks were just awesome.
Wow.
And it was so great. It looked just like the movie, and it was just top notch. So I didn't have the money to afford it. I'd have my $3 or my $4, and she was nice enough to let me put it on layaway, essentially, which is unheard of. You couldn't do that these days. But after like 10 or 12 weeks, I paid this thing off, and then I was able to take it home and terrorize my mother with it.
Oh, now that's the best part of the story. Do you still have it?
Unfortunately, no. It was lost in a move semi-recently. It got kind of ratty.
Yeah, that's...
But for the story, and I know this is right up your alley, you should retain these things for the story, but sometimes people that you cohabitate with don't want all of that stuff around, and it just was one of the things that didn't make it.
With all of those significant others who do allow us to do the ridiculousness that we do, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, Brian, before we go in, I got something for you.
What?
I had to surprise you.
Come on.
Now, earlier today, we were filming at the statue of the greatest hockey player who has ever laced up skates.
Les Magnifiques.
That's right. Mario Lemieux. So, I mean, I figured why not bring you the best macaroni and cheese ever made. Kraft 1997 Kraft macaroni and cheese
this
with...
is for me.
Oh, yes. There he is.
Oh, my God.
Le Magnifique.
And, you may see the reverse retro jersey being used these days. That's kind of what he's wearing here.
Oh, I love that.
The original version with the Pittsburgh. This is tremendous. Thank you. I can't believe it. And you know what?
Absolutely.
Based on our time in history, when the apocalypse finally hits, I can just tear into this and use it to sustain myself and my family. You get like a thimble of mac and cheese. It should last for weeks. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate this. You have to make that sacrifice with the collectible.
Sometimes you can still keep the box.
Of course.
I open all kinds of stuff.
Framing, Mario.
Exactly.
This can sit up on the wall as we dine.
You know what? I bet he could still score 30 power play goals.
Power play specialist. You put Mario out there, someone would shoot on the power play. That's amazing.
I could go all day, but hey, I got to see what it is you love here about Time Bomb Toys.
Let's do it.
Let's take a trip. Come on, man. Oh my gosh, look at this place. My gosh, this place! Wow. I mean, you're not joking, man. This is the epitome of horror.
It's a mecca of horror.
It really is.
It really is. Every time you come in here, you just look around and see new things you've seen during past visits, and it's just, I don't know, it's a very welcoming feeling, which is odd to say about horror, but when you like this kind of stuff, it's so neat to see it all just surround you.
Which is understandable. I mean, hey, big, giant rubber men in their underpants make me feel that nice, warm feeling. You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
And I will never spite you for that, because I have been known to enjoy it myself.
Yeah, there is, in my opinion, that 80s wrestling, the Hulkster, Hulkamania, there was nothing more emotional for me. Like, whenever somebody was in trouble, the Hulkster came flying down to the ring to save them. You know, that was...
Until he was the one creating the havoc.
Worst day of my life. The worst day of my life when he put on that black and
Bash
white.
at the beach.
For the Bash at the Beach. I was like, oh, yes, here he is. And no, he wasn't. That was,
As somebody that prefers villains, I love that moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was awesome. But I mean, I grew up on the original Hulkster. So we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, right. With wrestling, boom, that could instantly happen. But, those worlds, though, those worlds of wrestling and horror, sometimes they bleed into each other a little bit. I mean, hey, The Undertaker's extremely scary. Papa Shango. There's always been that little touch of horror in wrestling, which I liked, scared the crap out of me.
Kim Chi wore a mask.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's true. That is true. Well, so one of the things that you like here, Brian, are the posters, figures. Now, some of these, and I know that I asked you to bring a couple of your pieces, a couple of your toys. The syringe fingers Freddy Krueger.
Are you referring to this guy right here?
I am.
One of the chase pieces in the mystery minis a few years ago, and I just thought it was appropriate. We have the poster right here.
That's so cool.
Even the proprietor of this shop said he didn't see this one in person. He didn't have it. So
oh, really?
I must have a grail.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, that is so awesome. Now this is a mix of our worlds. Before we go and take a look at the figures, which is that's what I love. I love the toys. Like for me, the toys have always come first. Whatever I was interested in, whether it be wrestling, whatever it is, the toys came first. Like this guy right here. In this movie, I was totally obsessed. Yeah, right there. But this movie, I always remember the scene with the 77 Kenner figures.
Yep.
When he's talking about Hammerhead, Boba Fett. And then when he actually sees Yoda when he's dressed up for Halloween, he says, home. Like that to me is such a special part of that movie. And it's this long. It's 2 minutes long. But that captivated me as a kid. And now I love E.T.
It was put there for somebody like you who loves this kind of thing, the toys and the nostalgia aspect of it. Now you can reminisce with this awesome figure that's available here in the shop. And you can see he's converting over to horror. He used to just be a sci-fi guy. Yeah. But now he's being sucked in, which how can you not when you're in this place?
I know. I feel like I can feel the appreciation, even though it scares the crap out of me. I can feel the appreciation here with all of this surrounding me. And I'll tell you what, I want to talk about the mashing of two worlds, the hot Scott, Rowdy Roddy Piper, and They Live. If you have not seen this movie, you absolutely have to see it.
One of my most recent purchases here at the shop was a Roddy figure that's available.
Oh, really?
And it was awesome that movie's being embraced. And you should put the glasses on. I wish we would have known. We could have brought our shades in and really seen this for what it probably really is beneath the facade.
Imagine the world problems that would be solved if we could find a pair of those glasses.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Unbelievable. Well, fight each other to force you to wear them. This movie was tremendous.
Well, I have come here
to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Look at this wall. This is insane, dude. I mean, this is what I love. I love the figures. But, you show me what it is that you love here.
Well, it's hard to pick because when you look at this, it's a good mashup of Universal horror, the Hammer horror, and recent stuff. And they've made figures of just about everything you could think of now. So I guess we'll take a look at these, who I've always enjoyed these NECA figures. You see the Scream films here. They have now Ghostface. That's something that never was available back in the day. It's so cool to see.
That is cool.
There's so many variants of Micheal Myers at this point. You can't collect them all, or you can. They'll love it if you
They
do.
want you to.
But I just love being able to get Freddy Krueger figures, Jason Voorhees figures, and I know there's a lot of them behind us. But when you transition into this stuff, these probably are right up your alley for the 77 Star Wars stuff that you were talking about, because this whole run, that's exactly what they have based it on. They're just moving arms and legs essentially on a standard body. I think that's kind of a neat thing. It's a great throwback. It's so retro. I love collecting those. And this is actually a recent purchase of mine here too.
Oh, no
Creature
way.
from the Black Lagoon is one of my favorite from Universal.
Wow, have figures
Universal
changed.
Monsters. I've always loved him. And Bob, who we will meet here in a few minutes, was nice enough to put one aside for me at some point. So I was able to come down and snag it.
Yeah.
And he's very good about that because my schedule doesn't always match up with Bob's. And it's so awesome that he's nice enough to do stuff like put the Gill Man in the back for me.
That's
so I can
right.
come down and get it.
See, now that's the world of collecting. Sharing that bond, helping other collectors out. Like these, you're right, these do remind me of even the
exactly what they
packaging.
are, yeah.
That's awesome.
And half the time, it's worth it just for the packaging.
Wow.
Because the artwork that they've put on these things now is just tremendous. Then you go into this. These are very retro feeling as well.
Oh,
like
sure.
The Hammer horror and the old, they started mixing in Universal monsters this way, but it's a lot of the stuff that maybe NECA doesn't have a license for, they've made in this way. And I've always loved Nosferatu. And that movie, just in general, being a silent film back in the day.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying, and to be able to get figures of him, and you can see there's variants of it on the wall. Here's one.
Yeah, I
here.
saw multiple. Well, this is Bela Lugosi. Like, I think, weren't these the actual images that you saw on the movie posters?
You know what? They might as well be. They look like it. You've seen so many variations over the years of that, and when they get the license, I think they are able to do it.
Wow, that's neat. Well, Bela Lugosi, I have said before, horror isn't necessarily my thing. My love for Bela Lugosi as Dracula comes from the very last time that he ever put on the Dracula suit to appear on film, which was Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. Like
Saturday afternoon watching those films, that was something else I did at my dad's. It was awesome. We would watch that Saturday nights too. If you stayed up late back in the 80s, Universal monster films were always on late night on network TV. You can't find that these days.
No, you can't. I mean, that is so nostalgic. That is such a fun thing to collect, and I can totally understand why that is so interesting to anybody, you know? And now, talk about interesting. You got to be an interesting guy to own a store such as this. You know what I mean? And
there's no doubt about it. What kind of mind does an individual like that have? And you're going to find out, because Bob, who is the owner and proprietor of this beautiful mecca of horror, is right over here.
Well, hey, Brian, thanks, man. I'm so happy that you did this. I appreciate it so much. But let's take a little conversation here with your friend Bob. All right, here I am, finally, the man of the hour, Bob Woods, the owner, the reason for all of this horror. Man, you got one heck of a store here.
Thank you, I appreciate you guys coming.
Now, why? Why horror?
I'm a child of the 80s, and I loved horror movies, and probably goes back to me sneaking down to my cousin's basement when I was a kid, and we used to watch Micheal Meyers and all the different horror movies, and it was a great time, and it spawned from there. And
scared the crap out of yourself as a little kid. Oh man, as a kid I would do that as well, and I knew as soon as I would put that VHS tape in, I'm probably gonna regret this. But man, that's still a fun, awesome memory. You have really amazing stuff here, but these masks, like this here, Phantasm is one of my absolute favorite horror movies of all time. The Tall Man. Look at that. And this here, for those of you, Phantasm is a little bit of a cult classic, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I had somebody ask me the other day, is it funny? And in a way, I mean, it kind of is. Like the heartthrob of the movie is a bald guy with a ponytail who plays guitar. It's weird. But like this movie, it was super crazy. This extremely tall man, he was stealing corpses and he was making them into half-size zombies, would you say?
More or less,
like the little gnomes. It was crazy
stuff.
It's one of my favorites. It is. It is an awesome thing. But before I could talk about stuff like that all day. But I have to have you show me. You have dioramas here.
Absolutely.
From local artists.
Yeah, we have a lot of customers that are pretty talented, and I have one customer. His name's Will Grimm. And he buys figures here, and he'll actually make dioramas. He'll make like the Micheal Myers hedge. He'll make Doc for Jason Voorhees. I mean, they're amazing.
Wow, Grimm is his last name.
Yeah, Will Grimm. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Willie Long.
You can't make that up. You can't make that up. That's awesome. Well, here I want to see these masks, because some of these masks here, you'll buy. Who actually makes?
Most of our masks are made by Trick or Treat Studios, and they do a great job. Like with the licenses, they have pretty much everything. And then we have another customer is a local artist. And his name's Trevor. You can find him at Instagram. It's Smithgrove 2019, and he'll overhaul the Micheal Myers mask for us. And this is his like Halloween Kills concept, which is coming out in the fall.
Oh my gosh! So right here, Time Bomb Toys, you can get masks that no one else is going to have on Halloween. When you're walking around with this, you know you don't have to worry about 5 other guys having the same mask at the party, because here at Time Bomb, you got a special one-of-a-kind customized mask. Well, you got to come and show me the rest of these. We got to take a look at some of these masks. I mean, they're all super scary. I mean, right here.
Captain Spaulding, love him.
Captain Spaulding. Now that has a little bit of a connection for me.
Yeah?
You know, Captain Spaulding, Rufus T. Firefly, those names in those movies, what are they, House of a Thousand Corpses movies?
Corpses, yeah, Rob Zombie film, yes.
Those names are Groucho Marx characters from Marx Brothers movies.
I was blown away. I'm blown away by that fact. I did not know that. And I know a decent amount of horror, just being a child of the 80s and watching all these films.
Let me tell you, to be able to give any bit of info to you, the man of horror, that's amazing. You know, this is super scary. I mean, wow. Do you have a favorite that you have, the customizer, what was his name? I'm sorry?
Is Trevor Smithgrove, 2019. Really, my favorite of all the masks he's done is this concept of 2018.
Wow.
And it's like he calls it the rotting version of Michael, and I just love the color on it. I just think he overhauled it. The hair looks great. And it's just a great sculpt originally from Trick or Treat, and he just took it to another level.
That is extremely terrifying. I mean, I'm not an artist in any way. Yeah. I can't even draw.
No,
I mean,
neither can I.
I can't imagine someone being able to create this. Someone being able to imagine this. Like, that's probably their nostalgia. You know what I mean? Like this, creating these for you to have these one-of-a-kind pieces is probably their area of interest.
And it's great because he's a customer and he's bought figures and masks, and he does a great job with these. And I just really appreciate it.
It's so cool.
It's really cool how you meet. Horror family is a tight-knit family, and you really meet all kind of people. It's awesome.
That's the world of collecting.
Yeah.
You know, like I said earlier today, what would possibly cause a radio host for the Pittsburgh Penguins to hang out with this toy-sniffing weirdo? Seriously, like, you know what? It's the world of collecting.
It's amazing. I mean, he's a big fan of the store, and I'm just so happy. When I first met him, it was like meeting a celebrity myself, and it was just, he's a cool guy, and we share a bond of horror. It's just awesome.
You know, that bond, the hunting nostalgia bond, you know, looking for a feeling, searching for the feeling. Come down here to Time Bomb Toys and buy yourself a one-of-a-kind piece that you know nobody else at that Halloween party is going to be wearing. Bob, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I mean, this was awesome. I hope it was painless.
No.
It's never painless. I promise, it's never painless. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
This is Hunting Nostalgia.
Let's go hunting nostalgia.
Now, what am I doing here today? Well, we have a very, very special guest today. Voice of... No, he's not the voice. It's not the voice!
It's not like it's raining, Nick. It's not like it's raining. It keeps screwing up. Why can't I be in sunny Orlando filming the girl? At least she has talent.
What am I doing here today? Thought this was a show about toys and sniffing things? Well, I am... you stinking turd.
Unbelievable.
You know what I was thinking?
Unbelievable. No, please tell me how you have no talent.
I was thinking about crap. I forgot to say that I have a joke about Brian that I want to use.
Oh, I'm sure it's hilarious.
Numero 66, the big guy, Le Magnifique, Mario Lemieux, 1,723 goals. What? No, it's not. It's not goals. I wish he had that many goals.
That would be like the greatest hockey player ever to ever play.
Hey, if he'd have played his full career, he'd have had it.
Yeah. You're an idiot.
Wait, Crown.
Camp Horner.
Shut up! Stop it! Stop it!
Jason lives.
Let me do it.
No, get all right.